A photographic workshop in the Haarwegskloof Renosterveld Nature Reserve was a delightful learning experience. Haarwegskloof Renosterveld Reserve is situated in the Overberg region, between the towns of Bredasdorp and Swellendam, close to the De Hoop Nature Reserve. Haarwegskloof and its two neighbours comprise the largest and most continuous extent of lowland Renosterveld that remains on Earth. Together, this amounts to 1,200 hectares of critically endangered Renosterveld. Haarwegskloof is about 500 hectares in size, with 80% of virgin land. The reserve is home to rich plants and animal life, including some 500 plant species, of which 3 plant species are new to science. Around 80 bird species are found here, such as the endangered black harrier and the southern black coran. It provides a sanctuary for secretive mammals, such as the aardwolf and aardvark. Before its purchase by World Wildlife Fund in 2013, Haarwegskloof was a working farm. The reserve is the brainchild of Dr. Odette Curtis Scott, based in Napier. She manages the Overberg Renosterveld Trust at present. She tells us how it all started.
In 2003, I was doing my master's on the black harrier, and I was looking at how harriers use Renosterveld to breed in. So I surveyed 100 fragments of Renosterveld in the Overberg and the Swartland, and I found that only 10 of those 100 fragments had black harriers breeding in them. It was always the biggest and most connected areas of Renosterveld. And in that time that I spent surveying for the harriers, I sort of fell in love with Renosterveld, realized this poor, ugly sister of Fynbos, as it was known, is really neglected, is being poorly managed, ignored, seen as a wasteland by landowners, and we needed to change that because the diversity is just incredible. So over the years, finishing up the harrier work and then working a little bit for Cape Nature, I started to spend a lot more time in Renosterveld, managed to raise some funds to do some research in it, and then in 2012 I started the trust, the Overberg Renosterveld Trust, to work with farmers to find ways to conserve the Renosterveld in the long term. And then in 2014 we influenced WWF and got them on board to buy Haarwegskloof, or handed it over to us to manage as a nature reserve. And then we developed these buildings, or made use of the old buildings that were here, developed them into a research centre and accommodation for guests and students, and we've just grown from there.
Odette loves macro photography, but also photographing birds and other large animals. She joined the course because she wanted to create more art with her photos and was excited to partake in the course. Grant Forbes works with the Overberg Renosterveld Conservation Trust based in Bredasdorp. He works closely with landowners to protect and restore what is left of the Renosterveld.
My work involves a lot of site assessments, visiting farms, doing vegetation surveys, and trying to understand what the condition of the veld is, and then try and translate that to our landowners, convincing them of the biodiversity value that's still on their properties. I came on this course to get inspiration and to understand a bit more of photography, not just the settings but also the arts of photography, trying to grasp how can I better use photography as a tool to communicate what I experience in the veld, and translating that to landowners.
Tinus van Staden, wildlife, bird and landscape photographer, was the facilitator and presented a comprehensive program.
first of all is every time I go out to take photos, I try and be better 1% than the previous time. If I can learn something new, get a new perspective, get a different angle, I think that's one of the first most important things. Second one is, I think it's important to know photography gear, the camera you use and the settings. But I think it's even more important to change the settings in yourself. The way you focus, the way you look at the world, the way that you are present, those things are very, very important to me. So I think if it's one thing I can say that's I'm probably the only person in South Africa doing it, is I take photos from a floating height. So I'm in the water, different seasons through the year. Sometimes it's freezing cold, sometimes it's windy. So I try to take photos on eye level. That's my niche. That's what I like most.
4 theoretical sessions were alternated with practical photography sessions. We went out into the nearby Renosterveld to practice our skills. Some concentrated on macro photography, whilst others preferred landscape. Attention was also given to photographing birds. The comments of participants at the end of the weekend speak for itself. Sonia commented, "The weekend was inspiring and I met wonderful people. It was great to experience the enthusiasm and passion for nature and photography. I remember the excitement in observing the harriers in their court dance, and to learn from so many pros was very special." Elsa remarked, "The highlight was to learn from and create with an artist, wizard and master of photographic art. I learned to notice lines and was inspired to take a perfect photo and create a more perfect work of art."
I'm Charmel Benz. I work for a big corporate organization. Photography is an escape for me, to be in nature, to appreciate my surroundings, and to take in just the peacefulness of what I've come to find here. And that is what photography does for me, and that is exactly what I found in this course this weekend. There's a lot of things that I learned. I really learned a lot about anticipating the photo that you want to take. Think a little bit further ahead and get the picture in your mind that you'd like to capture. I've also learned about the various lines that you want to capture in a photo. So yes, there's a lot that I have learned.
So ended a wonderful weekend, which all enjoyed while enhancing their photographic skills.